Welcome to Coruzant Technologies, home of the Digital Executive Podcast.
Welcome to the Digital Executive. Today's guest is Swetha Newcomb. Swetha Newcomb is the founder and chef of Course Kitchen and Company. After attending the University of Kansas and earning her bachelor's degree, Swetha felt incomplete. It was then, along with a few nudges from her husband, she realized she needed to turn her dream into a reality. Swetha enrolled in the highly ranked culinary program through JCC College and has not looked back since. Swetha gained years of kitchen experience while working as a line cook and a pastry chef in various restaurants around Kansas City. Swetha's story is about sense and intuition, two opposite forces, but when combined create satisfaction and endless opportunities. Food is more than just fuel. Well, good afternoon, Swetha. Welcome to the show.
Hi, good to be here.
This is awesome. I appreciate you jumping on. I know that I've known you for several years. You're a great friend of my daughter's, Josie, of course, and you've just done some amazing things, and I'm excited to have you on the podcast. But you're going to share some really cool things about your career and some of the exciting things, one big thing anyway, coming up this summer. So let's just jump directly into the questions so we can get your story out to our global audience. You've got quite the career in culinary arts. You're a renowned chef in the area, entrepreneur, and now you're the founder and chef of Course Kitchen and Company. Could you share with our audience the secret to your career growth and what inspires you?
You know, Brian, this might be a basic answer, but it's my passion. I've never been so passionate about something in my entire life. And I struggled when I was in college trying to find a major that was correct for me, trying to ignore the fact that I wanted a career in culinary arts. And finally, after I graduated with a bachelor's degree at KU, my husband was the one who convinced me to go to culinary school and finally pursue that passion because he just saw in my eyes that I was not happy with what I was about to do with my life. So that's kind of how I started. And I met your daughter when we were probably in 6th or 7th grade, and she was the first girl I actually cooked with. I think we made enchiladas or something like that. But I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I could be on the Food Network. This is so much fun. And it kind of started from there.
That's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that, Swetha. We have hundreds of guests on this show, and everybody started out somewhere. And in fact, I think I might have even had a chef or two on the show. In fact, I know I did because I had one of the chefs from that Bravo show. And that was from Bravo's top chef, Chef Eric Ajapong. I love these stories, and I'm glad that you're sharing that with our audience because we have a lot of entrepreneurs that are looking for some great advice. So thank you. Swetha, jumping in here, again, we talked a little bit about your, short tenure in your career here, but you've accomplished quite a bit just in the few short years in the culinary space. Could you maybe share with us your exciting news coming out this summer?
Yeah, of course. So speaking of course, I'm opening a restaurant this summer. It's called Of Course Kitchen and Company. The name actually came from when I became a private chef and I conducted a lot of these private dinners. My husband noticed that I kept saying, of course, to people. Like I kept saying it so much that he said I said it about 50 times during one private dinner. And so I thought, why not name my restaurant that? And it's kind of a play on words because, you eat courses of food at dinner. So that's kind of how we got that name. But I'm really excited to be opening this spot. We are opening in South Overland Park, where there's a lot of new development, a lot of new homes being built, a lot of families and communities that want somewhere family owned to go out to eat dinner and not find themselves at a fast food restaurant or, maybe a big chain. So we reached out to Blue Hawk and they actually let us rent out a property. And, they took a big risk with me because I'm young and I've only been in the industry for about 4 or 5 years. And I think they just saw my social media and they saw what I was able and capable of doing. So I have to, grant my success story to social media because I would not be where I was today if it wasn't for the advertising that I did on social media.
That's awesome. And thank you for sharing that. I know it is tough as you're starting out as a new entrepreneur, but I know your hard sweat and tears that went into this. I follow you on social and you do some amazing things with the food that you provide and make for all these people. So that's awesome. Thank you. Swetha, we're a technology platform or publication. And like I said, we do get into the nuts and bolts of technology. But today, we just want to ask you something pretty simple. Are you leveraging any new or emerging technologies in your business? And if not, maybe you found a cool tool or app that you could share with us today.
Yeah, actually, so there's a lot of new stuff that's been coming out in regards to making reservations or, booking your restaurant experience via text or going on a website and saying what kind of allergies you have on a survey before you even get to the restaurant. So there's a lot of things like that that used to not exist, right? Back then, you used to get to the restaurant. You may have called to make a reservation. You'd get there and they'd ask you if you have any allergies right then and there, and then you tell them. Nowadays, it's really amazing. You can do almost everything online. You can say if it's going to be your birthday, if you're celebrating anything, or if you're there just going for a business meeting. And as a restaurant, we'll be prepared for whatever situation. So we are using a platform called Toast, and it's a POS system. And they've come pretty far with their technology, and they've tailored it to chefs and small business owners, whereas the bigger POS systems are kind of harder to use, harder to learn, and they need a lot of backup. If something broke and things went down, they're much harder to use during what we call it in the weeds, when it's dinner service and things are going and people are moving around. You want everything to be stable and to work for you.
Thank you for sharing and appreciate that. And again, I don't have any advertisers on the podcast, but I have people like yourself, entrepreneurs that, plug the tools that they're using or the apps or the technology. So I really do appreciate that. And I can tell you some of the things that have just come out in the last few years are just blowing my mind. And like I said, I talked to a ton of people using different technologies. So thank you. And Swetha, the last question here, maybe you can share with our audience today something from your career experience that might be helpful for those looking to grow their career or start their career in the culinary arts or entrepreneurship.
I think my one piece of advice is to be efficient. I worked at one of the busiest restaurants in Kansas City for about 3 years. And the biggest thing that I learned there was to be smart and efficient, not to stress about the things that, are going to take a long time. You want to prepare for the day in a way that you're going to be successful. And that's huge when you're in the kitchen, like cleaning up as you go or prepping extra things in case you have more people walk into the restaurant than you expected. So being efficient is something that I had to learn very quickly. And it was quite embarrassing when I had my first job at the Capitol Grill and I had no idea what I was doing. And it was really busy. We were doing about 600 covers a day. And I had to learn really quickly that it wasn't about perfecting the food. It was about pushing as much food out as possible without creating any issues in the kitchen.
Thank you for sharing that. When you tell that story, and it's great, I can resonate with it a little bit because I'm not obviously a chef, but I've watched some of those cooking shows, right? Like Hell's Kitchen, et cetera. And I can just only imagine what you go through to get this food prepped. And I've tasted some of your food before, so I know it's just awesome. So to do both is really a hard feat. So thank you for sharing that. So Swetha, it was a pleasure having you on today, and I look forward to speaking with you real soon.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for having me.
Bye for now.